Hello, everybody. This is Joe at my vaping place. This is the second broadcast of Vapes Across the Pond. I am joined here by my partner in grime, Andy from Cloud-Based Vaping. Say hello, Andy.
Hello, Andy.
There you go. All right. Well, as it stands right now, we have nobody in chat, so I guess it's just going to be us talking here since we didn't schedule this thing and put this up and everything else. You know, actually, let me see something. Bada bing.
I think it's a good way to start.
Yeah, let me see what we got here. Don't mind me, folks. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to see what we got here. I am not totally familiar with this, so I have no idea what is happening here.
Should prove interesting.
Yeah. So, playing with different things here. And just putting this thing up into Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus. So yeah, I'm a slow typist.
Oh.
I'm a very, very slow typist. Okay, so we put, yeah, well, it used to be hunt and peck. At least I've gotten up to, what is it, 8 fingers?
You see, I cheat when I do my written reviews because having Windows 10, I use speech.
Oh, you bloody bastard. I
don't type, I speak it. It makes life so much easier with words that I have problems. But bear in mind, I got a C in English language at school. Some words I have difficulty typing, but don't look right. So, in effect of publishing a review with numerous spelling mistakes which I can't be bothered checking, I speak it. Although it does have trouble with the Yorkshire accent.
Well, yeah, I it probably would. I could see that happening easily.
You've got to speak the Queen's English.
No, you have to speak BBC style English, my friend.
Nothing wrong with the BBC. I listen to BBC Radio too.
I never said that there was. Okay, so you don't have to. You don't have to go jumping on me, bro.
I can have a very posh voice when I'm on the phone. When I'm in conversations, I can be a very polite, well-spoken individual. I can narrate, I can type, I can be extremely pleasant, if you wish. However, I digress.
Yeah, well. All right, so as it stands right now, it's just you and me, so let's make the most out of this. I really would like to start scheduling something like on a regular basis, if that's possible. I know you got a weird schedule, and I have no idea what my schedule is going to be just yet.
To be honest, my schedule comprised of work, reviews. That's why YouTube has gone quiet. As most of my time now is taken up with the written review, so I don't have a chance to review the products I get in on YouTube before I begin to write them. The idea was for me to review them on my channel, then to post it onto his YouTube channel, and then do the written reviews, which will basically take up near enough all my free time I have. So the idea is for both accounts to be linked. So one video gets posted onto 2 YouTube channels, Vaping and Car-Based Vaping, which in effect means Car-Based Vaping has merged with Vaping.
Yeah, that could turn around. It could be an issue because to do that, well, the only thing that you could do is you could just have him following you, and you post up on your channel, on your Facebook page, and on your YouTube channel. When he sees that you've posted one up, all he has to do is do like I've done on a couple of other people's videos, repost them, you know, put them in a put them into a folder, into a playlist that's just like titled reviews or something like that.
Yeah,
and
yeah, that's it.
You know, this way he can turn around. You and him don't have to merge.
Yeah, on the editing software, there is the possibility you can add a link to a video source. So I can add, if say for example, I do a written review on under a file. Sorry,
Right.
I mean done already, like, but I can do the video, then type it up, and then put the link to my YouTube channel in that review.
Yep.
So they can read it, and then click onto Car-Based Vaping and watch the video review. But the special news is, which I was keeping a secret until now, since there's over 2 of us at the moment, I shall say it now. Car-Based Vaping is in partnership with Vaping.
Okay.
It's not a sponsor, it's a partnership. The stuff I get for review is sent direct from Vaping. I'm in contact with the guy himself, who I go meet once a week, once every 2 weeks. Have a coffee and a chat, and he shows me what he sends me for review. So in effect, it's just us 2 at the moment. He does all the sales on eBay, on the website. I do all the media publishing, the written reviews, which he then gives a quick one of them, and he publishes himself. So in effect, it's a kind of 2-way partnership.
I personally don't like the idea of calling it. Getting a little bit foggy in here. I don't like the idea of calling it a partnership. I prefer to call it something more like a symbiotic relationship, because you're basically your own person. He's got his business, which is his own thing, and you're both gaining from it. So, you know,
it does me a massive favour. For one, sorry, I'm just dripping on the coil. I enjoy writing the reviews. I feel it's easier for me to get a review down in writing rather than speaking it out. Plus, I get the stock in to review, and afterwards, I don't have to send it back. I basically, in effect, I keep it.
Well, that's a good deal. So, okay.
Fuck. Okay.
Oh, you're doing good today.
Speaking of which, looking through the old cupboards at home for my my old vaping, and I came across this.
Oh, bloody hell, that's an old one.
The tank's missing. That's the Kanga Pro Tank coil on a locked battery, which still works. You still makes a fizzing sound.
That's a Pro Tank Mini, isn't it?
Yeah, the Jenny tank.
Okay.
That's the first one I ever owned.
Check out Fast Tech. I believe they have the glasses for those things as well as the tops. They may have the spare parts for it.
I think I've still got a Jenny tank in my car, which is covered with insulating tape because it leaked.
Oops.
So I put some insulating tape around the between the glass and the metal base. It had a tendency to rip.
Check out your local auto parts store and see if you can pick up the rubber grommets for it. I find that the rubber grommets that they use in the automotive side of things work a lot better than those little silicone jobbies that they turn around and that they put out for the thing. You'll have to excuse me.
They have to be weatherproof. What's that, coffee?
No, tea.
Tea? Oh, not that.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Looks good.
Irish. Irish whiskey down my trouser leg.
You must be fun at the pub.
To be honest, I don't drink out. To be honest, I prefer indoors. It's safer and it's quieter.
This is true. This is true.
It's very rare I go out.
It's been ages since I've gone out myself. You know, it's not the same. When I was in my 20s and stuff like that, I would turn around, I'd go out and I'd spend all night out and everything else and come home 9 sheets to the wind.
I used to be the same. When I was in my 20s, I used to be between 18 and 22. I've had some really rough nights. I mean, let's think now. 2002. We'd gone out with a few lads from work. And we'd gone around town, we'd had a few jars, and we thought we'd stop off at a pool centre, for a game of pool. And we said, we'll grab a coffee when we're in there, we'll wind down. And
this connection is really, really lousy coming over from you. You're breaking up like a son of a gun. Let me see if I can lower the bandwidth here a little bit. See if this helps out. Because you're breaking up something fierce. All right, let me lower the bandwidth. Ooh, that's not good. That's too pixelated. Ooh. Yeah. There we go. Now, get some good video. I'm going to have to keep the bandwidth up. Got no choice in the matter.
We good? We all right? We're still decent quality?
The color and everything else is fine. It's just that the resolution is, when I drop the bandwidth some, it really gets bad.
Oh, okay.
So, the crystalness of it. So I guess we're going to have to keep it the way it is. Sorry, folks. Blame it on the internet again.
Yep, never works when you monitor, does it?
No.
Anyway.
You can sit down there and do stuff, and it'll turn around and be working fine. And not depending on it. And as soon as you need to depend on it, it goes to hell in a handbasket.
It's always the case, isn't it?
Yeah. Not to cut you off, but what I think we need to do is I want to discuss a couple of things that came up in the last couple of days. One,
you're referring to the TPD?
No, I was talking about what happened earlier today in Wales, and I want to talk more about what you were mentioning to me beforehand, off the air, about the House of Lords, and I also want to talk about Evolve's suit against Joytech, Wismec, and that little fiasco that's rearing its ugly head over here on this side of the pond, as well as I want to talk about a little bit about California as well.
Okay.
So
it's surprising that Evolve has decided to file this now, even though it's been going on for so long. I mean, some of the mods out there use the sophisticated G-heat chips, but all circuitry is. I mean, how can you patent a circuit board?
Well, that's very easily. They didn't patent the circuit board. What they did was they patented the concept of wattage control. Okay. From what I understand, I read through the court papers. As a matter of fact, I posted that up on my YouTube channel. Not on my YouTube channel. I'm sorry, on my Facebook page. When I heard about this, what was it? Monday night when I was listening to the Plumes, and they came out with it. And as soon as that was off, I started reading through it. It took me about an hour and a half, 2 hours to read through all. I think it's like 50 or 60 pages of the court document that they posted up there. And from what I understand from reading through it, the reason why Evolve is bringing this suit now is that I'm trying to get the wording on this right, so bear with me. Is that Joytech and Wismec, okay, are basically flooding the market with their chips and with their mods that are using this chip. And they're trying, Evolve feels that they're trying to put them out of business because they've already lost quite a few contracts with mod makers over Yeehee's production. Excuse me, not Yeehee. I'm sorry. I misspoke there. Over Joytech's chips that they're putting into just about everything that they've got. And these mod makers have canceled contracts and purchases with Evolve, specifically, as stated in there, because Evolve is charging so much for their boards, and they can get the boards cheaper from Joytech. And because of the fact that Evolve has a patent, or as they refer to it in the thing, is the 330 patent, because that's the last 3 digits of the patent number. Because Evolve has a patent on wattage control, okay?
Okay.
Up until now, they haven't been really enforcing it, but because of the fact that Joytech is flooding the market, they feel that they have to, in order to be able to stay in business as a viable entity. Okay. That is the main reason, I believe, from reading through this thing, that I gather that Evolve is doing this. Because they feel that if they don't do something about this now, Joytech / Wismec, and of course Joytech's US subsidiary, Joytech USA, is going to basically put Evolve out of business. And they're going to run them out of the market completely. And they have to do something. If they don't do something, not only do they stand to possibly lose the right in the near future to be able to even, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm trying to think of the right wording here. The right to enforce their patent.
Right, yeah.
Okay. But they could possibly even lose the patent itself if they don't actively attempt to defend their patent. So the problem I see with this, okay, and this is the major problem. Well, there's 2 things actually. One, this is going after Joytech and Wismec. I actually, you know what? Just read through my entire post on the Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and type into the search box, My Vaping Place. a little ways down, I got a couple of things on there about the Welsh thing, and it's about 3 or 4 things down. You'll find it there. It's the first line is breaking news. Okay.
It's a win-lose situation.
Yeah, it is.
If Evolve win the case against Joytech Wismec, which obviously the same company, Evolve will have the right to distribute this chip amongst the majority of the mod makers out there. They
either that or license it.
Either license it, so the other makers can purchase the chip via a certain percentage for how many units they intend to make and how many units they intend to sell. Also, Evolve can turn around and say, all right, the design system was ours. We are now in control of this. They can quite easily turn around and think, okay, you know what? We've decided to stop production of the variable wattage component of our circuit board, which means the end of variable wattage. Unless these other companies can develop a similar setup, then Evolve have the entire vaping industry, the mod making industry, in regards to variable wattage, sat there in their hand. It's a case of either they can license it and let them use it at a certain percentage of cost, or they can sell, right, you will use our chip. We have sole rights over it. If you don't want to use it, that's fine by us. It's tough.
Yeah.
They'll have
all right.
control.
Let me share the my Facebook on here. So that way you can see exactly what I'm talking about, because hold on a second. Let me see. That's the one. Yeah, there we go. Can you see that? Can you see my? This is my channel's thing. All right, I'm just going to read this off here. This is what I wrote, and the reason why I'm writing this directly from my posting is that like I said, I posted this a couple of days ago, and I don't remember the exact words. So this is the main thing, because I gave this a lot of thought while I was reading it. On the other hand, Evolve, as the holder of the patent, has not only the duty under law to defend its patent. If it doesn't, it could lose the rights to it. But it is also fighting for its very right to exist as a corporation. But here's the really big thing. If the courts uphold Evolve's case, basically all corporate entities that are manufacturing any wattage and or temperature controlled circuit boards would in effect be infringing on Evolve's patent. And Evolve would effectively control the entire licensing of this technology for the entire regulated e-cig market. Okay? That's the major sticking point here, because if they turn around and if they are found to be, if the court finds in their favor, okay, then Evolve, because they're the holder of this patent, they have 2 things that they can do. They can either make it as a license for a moderate fee of, we'll say, like maybe a couple of $100, okay, or a couple of $1,000 or a couple of $100,000, whatever they decide that would be a fair thing to everybody who is producing chips with variable wattage and variable temperature, okay? This way they maintain their patent, and they also maintain the right to say what companies will be able to manufacture these chips.
That's it. On the basis of that, the manufacturers that and making these mods. Say, for example, I don't know, the Wismec presser. If Wismec and Joytech ever develop another box mod, they can quite easily put on the manual, on the box, using Evolve's chipset.
No. You got it wrong. Evolve does not have just a patent on the chipset. The chipset itself has a patent.
Right, you're on about the
what they
technology
did
of variable
was
wattage.
that they have a patent on variable wattage, okay, but they also have a patent included in there on as for temperature, okay.
Right, I get you now.
But they
Right, yeah.
have a patent on the concept.
Right, yeah, I get you now.
Of
Yeah.
variable wattage and how it's being done. Okay, so what they would do is they would license to the individual companies, like for example, we'll say Yeehee. Okay, they would license Yeehee to make chips using that concept and that way of doing it as specified in the patent, which is basically the way every chipset maker is doing right now. Okay, and by licensing that, they would make at a modest to a moderate fee, probably on a yearly basis. What they would do is they would maintain their patent, their rights to the patent. And they would also be able to say, okay, Yeehee, you can make chips. Or they could say to Joytech, you guys screwed us over so badly, it's not even funny. You tried to drive us out of freaking business. You can't make chips. You cannot make chips.
Yeah,
because if you do, we're going to take you back into court and we're going to sue the freaking hell out of you to the point where we put you out of business.
How long has this concept been going on for? When was the first concept?
I haven't turned around. I didn't look up the patent. You can go to the U.S. Patent Office site and type in a patent number, and you can get a PDF of the actual patent. That's why I included the patent number in my posting there. So anybody who wants to do that can do that. Yeah. And it has the date that the patent was actually issued on the document.
Unless they develop this technology, the very instance the first ever box mod came out with variable wattage, if their patent number is not referenced within that development, they're going to like to stand on.
Actually, they do. I believe there is a section in there that sets a maximum amount of time that a company can take to bring suit against another company for an infringement.
If that patent is still operational.
We're talking about current law, okay? I'm not a patent expert. I'm not a patent attorney, so I really don't know all about this. Only what I've turned around and heard from people who are patent attorneys. Yeah. So, what I'm saying here cannot be taken as gospel. You would have to have somebody who is a patent attorney actually go in on this. But I believe that there is a time limit.
Yeah, there is a time limit set, unless that patent from when it was first developed is still active.
Oh, it's still very much active.
If it
that patent is still very much active. That is
if the original patent is still active by the sole producing company that first developed that system before Evolve even became known, Evolve have then tried to patent something which is already still an active patent.
No. What you don't. Variable voltage came first there was the mech mods, which is totally unregulated.
Yeah.
Then came variable voltage. Now, variable voltage was, I believe that was first brought in by a Chinese company or something like that. I forget who did it. I don't even remember. I don't remember who did it. But Evolve, when they came about as an entity, they developed the concept of variable wattage control. Okay,
So basically, right, okay. So
they're the ones who developed that.
The
okay?
concept of variable wattage was created by Evolve solely.
Yes, the concept of variable wattage was developed and patented by Evolve. It did not exist before Evolve came about. It was the first thing that they came out with was a small round chipboard. God, I can't remember the name of the board of it. That actually fit into your unregulated mech mod between the battery and the atomizer to control the amount of wattage. You would set it, I believe you set it with a potentiometer, or a pot as it's known in the electronics trade.
Yeah.
You set that to whatever you wanted it for, and then you left it in there and it controlled everything.
Yeah,
that was
very early.
Right, that was the first one. Then they came out with another one that I believe with the first box mod that was variable wattage controlled. I believe it was called the Darwin, I believe. I kind of remember that name sticks in the back of my head there for some reason. I believe it was the Darwin. And unfortunately, we don't have anybody in chat, so nobody can turn around and check me on this. But I'm sure that I'm going to probably hear a lot about this in the comments to this thing as people start to read it. They then came up with the Darwin, and that was the first wattage regulated box mod. As soon as they came out with that, there were a lot of other companies that picked up on it and immediately started bringing out their own chips and everything else that did regulated wattage. Basically, from what I've seen of, I wasn't around when all this happened. I was still smoking fags at the time, so I didn't even know that vaping existed. So I'm only going upon what I've heard from some of the OGs that are out there who were around at the time. Okay, so understand this. They turned around and these other companies basically took the Darwin and, for all intents and purposes, reverse engineered it to find out how the damn thing worked, and came out with their own chips to do the exact same thing. Okay. I believe that the Darwin was patented as well. I'm not sure about that so much, but I believe that that was patented. But this lawsuit is specifically, from what I gather, okay, and once again, I'm saying, I'm qualifying this. I'm not a patent attorney. I'm not even a lawyer of any kind. So I can only go by what I read and from what I can see. From what I gather, Evolve patented the concept, and that's the important part, the concept of variable wattage. And I believe that's what they're going after Joytech. And this has the potential, this lawsuit has the potential to basically take the roaring bonfire that is the vaping industry, and it could, mind you, basically take a fire hose and douse it.
In which case, we could end up going back to variable voltage rather than variable wattage.
Yes. Unless some of these other chip manufacturers out there can develop by themselves a new way, a new concept of varying the wattage and controlling the temperature at which the atomizer coil works at, in other words, controlling the temperature of that coil, if they can come out with a new way of doing it, because I believe, like I said, I haven't read through the patent, so I really don't know how the patent is worded.
It is possible.
If they can come out with a new way of controlling temperature and a new way of controlling wattage, they can turn around and do an end run around Evolve, come out with their own way of doing it, especially if that patent is specific to a way of doing it, a particular means and method of doing it. They can come out with a new method of controlling those two factors.
The only way I can see them doing this is to vary it. Is to, how can I word this? Right.
The only way I can see
electronically assisting variable voltage. As we all know, I mean, you can use variable voltage, which does increase the wattage in certain increments depending on what you use. But you've got to be careful with how much volts you put through a coil.
Right. But what I'm saying, the only way I can see that they could do this is if they have the basic circuitry with a chip in there that will turn around and vary the amount of voltage to the coil, but that they have a separate set of circuitry there that's actually reading the temperature of the coil itself. Okay, that would mean at least 2 additional contacts between the tanks and the mod for that control circuitry, that sensing, for the sensing circuitry.
Right, you're on about an assisted backup. For example, if you've got, say, for example, a PC running, you've got certain components in that computer which regulate what systems are in use at what time. The best way to do this is to develop a secondary chip in assistance to the original, which will assist that. So it's not, in effect, it will go through the assisting chip first before it reaches the actual chip itself.
No. What I'm talking about is you have a variable voltage chip that actually handles the power. That is what actually controls the amount of voltage being applied to the coil. What I'm talking about is a separate set of circuitry that would be
bypass.
No, not a bypass. I'm talking about, you have the power circuit here, and you have a separate, completely separate sensing circuit here that has 2 leads, the voltage lead and the signal return, or the signal plus and signal minus, that would go to a sensor that's built inside the tank to actually sense the temperature of the coil, which would then send a signal to the actual control circuit to vary the amount of voltage, either up or down, depending upon what the temperature that sensing circuit picks up. Now, that would be exactly, that would be true temperature control, because you're sensing the temperature of this coil, but with this separate circuitry. Okay, and that circuitry is actually controlling the MOSFET, basically, that's in there. That would be controlling how much voltage is getting applied. It would apply a signal to the base of the MOSFET saying, okay, you can turn on a little bit more, stop, that's it, stay there. Okay,
well, basically tell the system to shut off at a certain point.
No, not shut off. You're going to, with a MOSFET, you can turn around, you can vary the amount of voltage that's applied to the gate of that field effect transistor, and allow it to work within a certain range, and thereby controlling the voltage applied to the load on that. Okay,
that's an actual. Sorry if I've cut you off there. It's actually not a bad idea. I mean, all right, I mean, certain tanks could need to be slightly redesigned to incorporate a very minute system.
That's the problem. That's the
Would
problem.
companies put that chip within a tank? Or you could not fit anything like that in a dripper, although the redesigning process would be immense.
But a dripper is not basically temperature controlled anyway. A dripper isn't temperature controlled. That drippers are usually used on either. I'm talking about a temperature controlled circuitry here. Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right. This is what I was just referring to was a temperature control circuitry. Temperature control. Okay. But the problem comes in is that with that, you have an additional set of signal traces that have to come into play. Okay, you have the one trace that is there now, which is the 510 connector.
Yep.
Okay. You would have to have an additional set of conductors there to go into the tank to supply for the tank to connect to the temperature sensing circuitry, which then increases the complexity of the connection. So now you have to your 510 connector that we all know, love, and make love to right now will not be able to work. You would have to basically come up with a whole totally new connector to work with this type of circuitry. Not to mention the fact that your mods, not your mods, your tanks and your rebuildable tanks, your coil, your standard tanks with the replaceable coils and everything else, all of those would have to be completely redesigned to incorporate the actual sensor in there for the temperature.
Although, could they not just simply design an add-on which screws onto the additional 510 pin of any tank or mod, which will then sense it directly to the system, which is then screwed onto the mod that has the programming?
It's possible, but
instead of redesigning the whole industry, just design a simple add-on. It doesn't even have to be that big, really. A small, well, I don't know, about, say, 5mm, for example, which screws on to this newly designed box mod with a new introduced circuitry, which then an additional tank, which you already own, can then be screwed onto that. The system is still going to recognise the atomizer that's screwed onto it. Therefore, you're not having to have half of the collection redundant.
Well, you got to remember something. Anything that's out there now that's in the hands of the vaping public is not going to be affected with this. It's only this lawsuit basically would stop new development by the companies of new tanks and new mods and stuff like that. So everything that's out there now, or that has already been manufactured and sent out to distributors and sold by the manufacturers to distributors, would be, that's still in the pipeline. That can still, right. That still will go.
So there's no sort of chance of any current stock out there being recalled because of this?
No, there's no way that would be able to happen.
Because that would be a massive undertaking, which would cost
that would be next near impossible to do.
It would cost them millions to basically recall every box mod in the UK.
And you know as well as I do, that ain't going to happen. Okay, because I'm sure it's, see this iStick 50? This is part of the lawsuit. This mod right here, this is specifically listed in the lawsuit as being one of the mods that they're complaining about.
But don't forget, variable voltage.
Your presser and your presser mini and your a couple of the other ones that you have there are also part of that you have.
For example, this.
Exactly.
Which uses variable wattage.
Exactly. That particular one and this one that I have here are part of the lawsuit, are specifically mentioned in that lawsuit. However, okay, there are a lot of them out there that aren't, like this Kanger. This one isn't, okay? My Inikin that's up there, my SVD, that one isn't because it's got an evolved made chip in it. The Inikin VV3, that's not mentioned in there because that, I believe that probably came out before Evolve started doing stuff. I'm not sure.
It's basically aimed at the companies that are making these, which are not
the high. They're going after the high end stuff. Yeah. They're going after all of the high end stuff. The 100 and up things. But what I'm trying to say, the high power stuff. But what I'm trying to say is that they can't recall these things for the simple reason you're not going to send your mod back to the company because of the fact that this is recalled. I ain't sending this back. This is my baby. I ain't sending this back.
I mean, it will cost a million to trace every individual person that has bought an item containing that chip.
It ain't going to happen.
It's an that is
not going to happen. This lawsuit is only going to affect Joytech, Wismec, and basically small, basically eLeaf, okay, from being able to do this. And those are the, if you really take a look at it, those are the three main culprits that have been driving down the prices.
If you think about it, the eLeaf is one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most popular box mods out there because it is affordable and it has a reputable name behind it.
It's basically ubiquitous. It's basically ubiquitous. You can't turn around. You really can't turn around unless you're dealing with people that are like doing mech mods and even regulated mech mods and stuff like that. You can't turn around and you can't sneeze without hitting an eLeaf.
Yeah,
okay?
Everywhere.
You can't sneeze without turn around and hitting, without some of your experiment hitting a Joytech product or a Wismec product. You can't. No, okay, look at just about every reviewer that's out there. In just about every review, what are they holding up? A Rouleau RX 200. They've got a Rouleau RX 200.
Just for a point of conversation, I don't own anything like that. I'm born for that.
I don't either. I haven't been able to afford it, but that is on my short list of mods that I want to get my paws on. Okay, that's on the short list. That's on the very short list. Why? Because it's got the battery life. It's got the temperature control that does stainless as well as nickel and titanium. It's got everything in it. It's pretty much, pretty much everything that I want. Okay.
It's one of them devices which is the all-rounder for everything you want.
Yeah, exactly. Plus, it'll go up to 200 watts, which I will never get anywhere near. I never even take this thing up to 50 watts.
I mean, let's have a look. For example, the Mini Pegasus with the Rafale on it. 40.1 watts. 40 watts. I very rarely go above 50.
I very rarely go above 20. Okay, here. What does that say right now?
16.7.
Exactly. The highest I've ever taken this thing is 18 and a half watts. Okay, except, of course, on a couple of occasions when I was doing a review on something and I actually brought it up to like about 30 or 35 watts or 40 watts, like when I was doing the solder tank. And
if I do a juice review, I always use the MVP. It's always set to 5 volts if it's a higher VG juice. And if it's a higher juice, which is usually 99% of the time, it's always a high VG juice. It's always set to a max, which is 30 watts. Because that's the only power I can really get out of it on a high VG juice. Unless I start using this.
I'm using a I think this is like a 70 VG in here. This is a 70 VG I've got in this thing. And I've got it set to 16.5 watts, and it's clicking off at a big whopping 1.1 ohms. And it's supplying 4.2. It looks like, I don't have my reading glasses on. I got my seeing glasses on right now. So I think it's saying about 4.2 volts.
80 VG.
Yeah.
And I'm running that on a mech mod using God knows how many volts this thing is carrying.
It's whatever is being supplied by the battery. If it doesn't have a MOSFET in there, it's basically going at whatever volt it's supplying, whatever voltage the battery is supplying, and that's being regulated. And that's being regulated by the ohmic value of the coil.
This is discharge 20 to 35 amps.
Wow, that was some sort of a big boom I just heard.
Did everything.
Well, I just heard some sort of a big boom around here. I don't know what the hell that was. 18:18 my time. Okay, I just want.
I'd go and check it out. I'm gonna bomb scare out of that. God forbid.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I know it's not the right thing to say, but it's not dismissible.
Yeah, I hear big booms. I get a little bit scared. Well, I shouldn't say scared. I get concerned.
You go and have a look, and I'll keep things going.
No, I can tell you right now from the sound of it, it was far enough away. But you know, I'm within like 10 miles of Newark Airport over here. I'm like 15 to 20 miles, within 15 to 20 miles of New York City. Okay, so you know, there's a lot of petrochemical plants and stuff like that in this North Jersey area, the Elizabeth, Newark area. So,
as long as you're fine with it, then we'll keep going.
We'll keep going.
If you're okay with that, if you're not too concerned, I mean, by all means, if you are concerned, by all means, go and check the news, go and check around.
No, that's I'm cool. No, I appreciate, but no, I'm cool.
Okay.
It's far. I can tell you right now from the sound of it that whatever it was far enough away that I don't have to worry about safety or anything like that here. It'll make the news, but I'll find out about that later.
As long as you're relatively fine with that.
Oh, sorry. That might have actually been thunder because it is starting to rain outside right now. That was a pretty that was a pretty big freaking boom. I've heard some pretty big thunderclaps, but
I don't want to piss on your fire, but it's pretty warm over here in the UK. I mean, I've got the skylight open. There's a nice cool breeze coming in. I've got beer. I've got vape. I'm sat down where it's warm.
Hey, I got the window open. It's been 65, almost 70 degrees around here. Last week it got up to 80 around here.
Bloody hell.
I was like, I went out in the morning. It was like 65, and I had my moderate winter coat on. And by the time the end of the day was rolling around, I'm walking around with my sleeves rolled up. I'm like, I'm dying here, you know. So yeah, it's been pretty damn warm around here lately. So yeah.
Sorry, the cat's just made an appearance. Hello. Little football.
You gotta give the fur ball a little bit of a scritch.
No, he's all the boys. He's my best friend. He really is. He's been there through thick and thin. He was with me today when the incident happened.
Oh, he's made an appearance. He made an appearance there.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yep. That's cool. Hey, big guy. So yeah, but this lawsuit has the potential for some major disruptive influence. So
it's all, if you think about it, the last 2 years for vaping as a community has had a lot thrown at it. Too much, if you ask me. There's too many people out there banging on about this, that, and the other about it. My advice to people out there who don't know anything about vaping, who believe everything that is written in the media, is to read up on the subject itself from official corporate writings. Don't just come up to somebody in the street who is vaping saying, that's worse than cigarettes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Think of it before you speak.
Yeah, I had a thing. I wrote a thing about that on my page.
Yes,
that is thunder. Yeah.
It's the case of it's something new that has now made public interest.
Yep.
Because these advocates have been baffling on to the wrong people about this, that, and the other, it's now turned around to think, oh, this is something that's making the news now. Let's do what we normally do with news and make it bad. So people, young UK and any other community that knows nothing about it, will believe it. And then think, oh, they're worse than cigarettes. Tell me one thing why they are worse than cigarettes. Give me one valid piece of information which I don't know already.
There isn't any out there that we know of.
Exactly.
But the problem is,
according to the press, what has been written in the health papers, whatever, I can't think of a name at the minute, but e-cigarettes are 95%
Public Health
safer.
England.
Exactly, that's it. 95% safer than smoking. That's 95%. All right, there's a 5% difference. Now, 95% safer than smoking. That means if you are smoking, that is 100% worse for you. Because if you actually read up on what goes in to cigarettes, you will be amazed.
Yep.
It's not paper and tobacco and a filter. You will be surprised at how much crap you are actually inhaling.
Ammonia, mercury, etc. Just to name a couple that are off the top of my head, plus MAOs, plus MAOI inhibitors and stuff like that that are in there.
Not to mention, those of you that might be watching this that are smokers, there are 500,000 unknown chemicals produced in cigarettes.
Yep.
Now, sit back and think while you have a puff on your £10 a pack cigarette and have a think about what 500,000 actually relates to. That's a big number. That is 500,000 unknown chemicals in tobacco, in cigarettes. The e-cigarette industry has been proven to have reduced smoking by a massive percentage. In the UK alone, there are 7 million people that have stopped smoking via e-cigs. If e-cigarettes were so bad in the UK, why would the NHS, that's the National Health Service, why would they promote the use of e-cigarettes to use as a smoking citation instead of patches or gum? That's the whole UK Pharmaceutical and National Health Service.
Yep. Yep. Now,
if you're going to tell me that vaping is bad, give me one valid reason why it is.
Because the media says so. You have to remember something.
That is my point exactly.
Exactly. The problem is that most people that are out there, most average, ordinary, everyday Joe and Jane citizen, whether it's over there in the UK, it's here in the States, it's up in Canada, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, China,
the whole
wherever.
of the EU, the whole of the European Union.
Every country in the world, all over this globe, 90% of the people who are out there will only know what they see and hear in the news media on a daily basis. And the reason for that is, let's face it, okay? In this modern world of ours, the news cycle is a 24-hour-a-day news cycle. People who are going to work, trying to live their lives, going out there to the salt mines every day, and I use the phrase salt mines figuratively, they're going out to the salt mines every day to work their 8, 10, 12-hour days, whatever they happen to be working, to turn around and bring in the money to keep their family going, to keep food on the table, lights on in their home if they happen to have electricity, or just even food on the table, period. Okay? We, as normal, everyday people, can't keep up with everything that's out there. That's the reason why the journalism profession exists, to basically be out there, get this information, digest it, and then regurgitate it in a form that people during their ordinary, everyday, busy, humdrum, minute-to-minute lives can understand, so they can keep semi up-to-date on what's going on around them. Okay?
May I just bring up a slight point? I'm not sure if it was the UK or abroad where this sort of scientific experiment took place, was to evaluate what vaping actually was, and the term dripping came up. So these guys in the white suits decided to conduct an experiment on dripping, and the whole idea was one of these: a locked ego battery with a very simple coil on it. So the whole idea,
I believe that was in Japan. I believe that was a thing done in Japan.
The concept was to remove the actual containment system itself, so the coil itself was exposed, and drip e-liquid onto that coil. Now, in my mind, someone who conducts them kind of experiments for the purpose of ascertaining, shall we say, how vaping is used and how dripping is actually in terms used, did they actually Google the whole term dripping and find out, hang on a minute, it's put in a small device with coils, with cotton, which e-liquid is dripped onto the coils and then vaped.
Actually, you're not dripping it onto the coils, so to speak. You're actually dripping it onto the cotton, and the coils is supplying the coils. Okay, exactly. The main problem is, and to digest everything that what you said there, for those people who don't know and who don't know what we're talking about, basically what you're looking at is a bunch of scientists who are in their little worlds, whatever it happens to be. Okay, they decide that we're going to get on the gravy train here and get from whatever governmental agency it happens to be a grant to turn around and do this, so we can bring some money into our organization. And what they did is they just basically took it and they said, oh, we can do it this way and this way and this way. They didn't go out and actually do some research before they started forming the experiment to find out exactly how the devices are used. They decided themselves how it was supposed to be used, and they decided that this is how we're going to do this. And the problem is that the way that they designed their particular experiments is totally, absolutely, 100% and irrevocably disassociated with the actual way that the particular items that they used are actually used in the everyday world. And because of that, their findings are totally 100% and absolutely invalid.
The worst thing is, after doing this research, they then published this research.
Well, they had to. They had to. They had to do
Right.
it. They got the money. They got the money from whatever organization or whatever governmental agency that supplied them with the money to do this, so they could put food on their family's table, okay, and line their pockets for whatever reason, whether it's to keep lights on or food on the table or whatever, or just to make themselves richer, okay. But they have to, because they accepted this money, they have to publish whatever they get, and they don't care. They really don't care.
That's my
That's
argument.
the problem.
We, who are members of the European Union, are funding these people. We are paying their wages to conduct these experiments, which are proven to be inaccurate results. Why the hell don't people who are in the scientific research industry actually use their heads and research before they actually do these experiments?
Because that would take too much time, and they would not be able to be working within the boundaries as set by whoever it was that was giving them the money for it. Okay.
To be honest, in a world in which we are in now, the whole point of this research is to produce accurate and legible results. What is the point in doing ridiculous experiments at the point of taxpayers' money to sit down, do these experiments, waste everybody's time in producing false and inaccurate readings, and then publish these readings, which in turn give fuel for the media?
Because of the fact that you have governmental agencies and you have corporate agencies and you have NGOs out there that are looking for specific findings to validate their points of view, okay? And they're perverting science. They're giving scientists a bad name by doing this, but they still don't give a flying rat's butt.
They are publishing inaccurate scientific research, which in my own opinion,
they're publishing research that purports to be scientific research.
Yeah, but it's not.
The problem is it's not science. Exactly, it's not scientific research. It's propaganda. It's propaganda. It's propaganda that's being funded by anti-smoking NGOs who want to keep their iron rice bowl. They're being funded by companies out there, pharmaceutical companies, not all pharmaceutical companies, but some pharmaceutical companies that are looking to keep their iron rice bowl of funds coming in for those anti-smoking nicotine replacement devices that they particularly make. Okay, and I don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that all pharmaceutical companies out there are bad. Far from it. Most of those pharmaceutical companies out there are good companies. They're doing the right thing. I'm talking about those ones that are into the NRTs, the nicotine replacement therapies, that want to keep that money coming in and keeping their pockets lined with that gold that's coming in from the people that buy this stuff, can't get off of it, go back to smoking, and keep coming back time and time and time again, trying to quit. Okay, those are the people I'm talking about when I talk about big pharma. Those are the people, the money grubbers that I'm talking about when I talk about big pharma. Okay, then you have the governments like over here in the States, like California, for example, which I want to get into in a minute, okay, who went out and when they sued the big tobacco companies and won the suits, went out and instead of taking the money as it came in, went out and floated bond issues to turn around and get massive amounts of money coming in that they would, of course, pay off over time because they have all this great amount of money coming in, and they didn't put all that money into preventing smoking because they didn't want to prevent it, because they needed people to smoke in order to turn around and keep the money coming in so they could pay off these bonds. So they put in a little tiny bit of money just to make it look good, and the rest of that got siphoned off into the general treasury to fund everything from illegal alien medical stuff, undocumented alien medicals, to God knows what kind of other social things, even to repairing roads, all the way down to repairing roads. They used it for everything, including their own bloody paychecks.
Exactly. To put it into a more...
And now, because, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I have to finish this thought. My apologies.
No, you're all right.
The reason why they want to kill off vaping is for the very simple reason that if people vape as opposed to smoke, they're not going to get the tax money coming in that they need in order to pay off these bonds. Exactly. California itself, right now, is hemorrhaging money, trying to pay off these bonds. They can't fund some of the basic necessary services that they need to supply to the citizens of their state because they have to pay off these bonds. Otherwise, if they go into default, they'll never be able to turn around and do anything again. And as a sovereign state, okay, they can't default.
Exactly.
Okay? And as such, they have to pay off these bonds. And they can't fund the Department of Motor Vehicles. They can't fund water projects. They can't fund fixing the potholes in the road. They can't fund those people who are out of work and whose unemployment has given up and that are basically penniless because they have to pay off these bonds. They can't turn around, they can't put up new street lights because they have to pay out these bonds. They can't pay increased wages to every single municipal employee, teachers, doctors, lawyers, cops, firemen, paramedics, EMTs, the guys who are working on the roadways, the guys who are turning around and who are doing any number of things, including down to picking up the litter in the street. Okay, because they turn around, they have to pay off these bonds because they were so money hungry that they turned around and that they floated these bonds. And when they floated these bonds, now they got this millstone around their neck that they can't get rid of.
One word: greed.
That too. Because if you look at it, most of those people who are in the state houses, from the time that that bond was originally floated till now, just about every year they've turned around, they voted themselves pay raises, and they voted themselves some pretty handsome pay raises to the point where most normal everyday people would be able to live just on the amount of money that they raised themselves for a year.
Yeah.
Okay? Greed, their personal avarice, as well as this, all of this other stuff, is what's causing this to happen. When you have hospitals like in LA, San Francisco, San Diego, who can't turn around and can't expand their services to turn around and take care of the amount of people, and that have to go on diversion because of the fact that they don't have enough room for their services to be able to provide their services. Okay, I'm sorry. That's bad. That's really bad. But don't go trying to force people to die, okay, or quit or die, okay, go cold turkey or die, just to turn around and keep your pockets lined. You want to help? Try lowering your own salaries. Try giving back some of that massive amounts of money that you guys make every year as salaries back into the general fund. Roll your salaries back and put that money into the general fund. Okay? Try turning around and getting rid of some of those pork barrel things that you guys have. Get rid of those. Put that money into the general fund. It's not going to take care of everything, but it's a start. I'm sorry about the rant. I had to. I couldn't help myself.
Put simply, what I was about to mention was, for those that have actually tuned in and are watching, that are unsure of what is going on regards to the TPD, regarding to the media's perspective on what is going on. What basically, put into the simplest terms I can think about is, for example, if you are wishing to, for example, buy a new car, and you have no idea of anything to do with fuel economy, miles per gallon, performance, or anything like that, and you come across a nice blue shiny Ford Mustang. Now, everybody knows about the Ford Mustang. I mean, even over in the US, we must be familiar with the Ford Mustang.
Oh yeah, we know about the Mustangs. Yeah,
we all know.
We have that same model over here. It might not be exactly the same model, but we have a car that's called the Mustang over here in the States.
For the example is, for those that know about the Ford Mustang, we all know that it is a fuel guzzling, low mileage, low MPG performing car. Now, to the unsuspecting publican that wants to buy this, goes to the dealership and thinks, "Ooh, that's really nice. I can really see myself in that car." You go and find a dealer, and basically he's paid to sell that car. He can say, "This is what you get. It's fantastic on fuel. You get great miles per gallon from it. You get this, you get that. It's a great all-rounder. You can go for miles on a full tank." For the price and what he has said to you is enough to make you think to buy it. Then down the line you decide to buy this, and in effect, from your own personal view of actually using that in the real world, you think, this is going through quite a lot of fuel. I'm not getting near as much miles per gallon as this guy said I was. It's going through quite a bit. What the media is doing in regards to vaping is exactly what that car salesman is doing to that unsuspecting person. They are fueling you with information that you want to hear, because you know that vaping is a well-known subject now. It has been broadcast, it has been publicised on news, newspapers, basically every media device, vaping is mentioned. Because the unsuspecting publican that doesn't know about vaping will read this. They will read it, they will believe it. They will believe it and tell other people. Then they will go to people that are vaping and say, "I've read in the news that this does that. I've read in the paper that this contains that much." You will believe what you have been told. You go buy a car and you know nothing about it. You will believe what you have been told to buy it. In respect to vaping, think what you want regarding to the media. You will believe what you have been told. Until you actually come to the point yourself, if you are a smoker, and think, patches aren't working for me, gum isn't working for me, I'll try E6. by hell, that will backfire. Because the people that are vaping who know you will turn around to you and say, you told me they much chemicals. Until you read up on the subject yourself before you start to believe it, then you'll see the whole truth. Do not believe everything you read. If you sit back and believe everything you see in the media, whether it be Facebook, Google, the press, TV, or whatever, don't take it as face value. You would not go and buy a 7.5 litre Ford Mustang believing it can do 100 miles to the gallon. If you had any sense, you wouldn't buy it. You would tell the sales to go shove it.
If you get 100 blocks to the gallon, you're lucky.
The same respect goes to vaping. Until you know the full truth on what is going on, please, God, keep it shut. Because all you are doing is aggravating the situation. Do not throw up your own opinions to vaping, the people that are vaping, to vapors themselves, face to face, what you have heard in the media. This contains 300 chemicals. Does it? Well, prove it. And I'll bet you now, you read up on vaping and e-liquid manufacturing processes, and you will be astounded by what you read. I'll leave that there.
Very well said, sir. Very well said. Now, the other thing that I was hoping to cover today was, yes, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I hear you. All right. Careful. Can't lose the ears. Well, he goes and takes care of the pressing call of Mother Nature. What we're going to cover here, and what I want to cover next, is a few of my own personal views on what I've seen this side of the pond for what's going on down in Wales, over there in the UK. From what I understand, reading the media today, the public health bill for Wales, as put up by the Welsh Assembly, has been defeated by a 50-50 vote of an even split in the voting members of the Welsh Assembly, basically for all intents and purposes killing off that bill. From a vaping point of view, that is a very good thing. The government put in, from what I was able to see, a lot of things into one bill, which they should not have done completely. I was just talking about, from what I've been hearing about on this side of the pond, about the public health bill down in Wales.
Yeah.
I was just trying to fill up some dead air space while you were taking care of your Mother Nature's call.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. Hey, we all got to do it. You know, what goes in must come out. You know, one way or another.
Yeah, too frequent in my case.
So, yeah, basically what I've been hearing on this side of the pond, basically from some of the media sources that I've picked up on. I've addressed some of this on my Facebook page and a couple of other venues like Twitter and stuff like that. Congratulations, Wales. You've put up your fight and you've won. Freedom is assured for at least the short term.
Until the referendum.
Well, that I don't know about. I haven't heard anything about that. But at least I know, and at least I believe it's May 5th is the elections for the Welsh Assembly. And hopefully I believe it's Labour, in the that holds a the majority party in the Welsh Assembly right now. Hopefully, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just making a personal statement here from somebody who hasn't got any skin in the game over there. Hopefully those people, especially that a gentleman, I believe his name is Drakeford, will get his butt voted out of office and thereby present no more of a danger to the public health. As the health minister, I believe his job is to promote the public health, and his inclusion of e-cigs / vaporizer products, PVs, in the Public Health in Wales bill did a major disservice to the public health in Wales. And as such, I personally feel he violated his oath of office and the office in which he was serving, and as such should turn around and pay the ultimate price of, in the next elections, being getting his butt voted out of office and out of the assembly completely. But that's just my personal opinion. I just hope that you folks over there will do the right thing.
I'm sure we will.
And in the spirit of Llewellyn the Great, continue to turn around and fight for your rights, and fight for your right to express your, not only your national identity, but your personal identities as well, by turning these bastards the hell out of office and sending them to the local unemployment queue, where they would have to actually do a real day's work for their pay, instead of standing up there and pontificating on something that they don't know a freaking tinker's damn about.
Exactly. For example, I am a novice when it comes to anything electrical. I could baffle on about this. This, as we all know, is the humble smartphone. Near enough everybody owns one. And I could baffle on about it, what it has, what it does, what it's capable of doing, and I will guarantee that 90% of it would be wrong. That's exactly what they are doing. Telling you things which they think are right, which in actual fact are wrong. For example, in the UK, this is a Microsoft Lumia mobile phone. It's capable of HD recording in 1080p. It includes virtual surround sound, 3D rendering, projection software, variable tones and ringtones, video playback, and there's Wi-Fi. Okay? Which of them are lies?
3D rendering is definitely a lie, because it doesn't do 3D rendering.
That's one.
Well, I was just listening to basically what you said. That would just have to jump off the page at me. I know it has its own ringtones. It can do. I don't think it can record in 1080p. I think it probably records in most likely at the maximum 720p. But I might be wrong about that, since I don't know the Lumina.
The point is, if I was to describe this phone to somebody that is new or doesn't know anything about the technology relating to mobile phones,
because you own it, they would accept your word as being gospel, because you have it, being an owner of it, you should know what your phone is capable of doing.
Exactly. So from the perspective of the media, telling the untrained publican, no offense to anybody out there that may be watching doesn't smoke and doesn't vape, please bear with me, to the untrained person, how much about vaping which the media is releasing would you believe?
They would probably believe, well, considering the fact that we don't have anybody in chat on it right now, I don't think they could answer that. But I think I think they would probably believe, if not 80%, and I'm to at least 100%, somewhere in that range,
So
depending upon their individual proclivities and their trust of the media.
For those that have no concept of vaping, whether it be vaping in general or the entire concept and the community of vaping, what the media is delivering is solely controlling them that don't know. I can tell you, if you didn't own this mobile phone, everything it did, and what would you know would be the truth, and what would you know wouldn't be the truth. Because you are taking, now, take this in context, you would take my word on it. Without any prior research, you would take my word what this can do. The media about vaping to the untrained publican that has no idea what vaping is about, what it corresponds to, what it is capable of doing, what a community it has brought. To the untrained publican, the media is controlling you. And what does the media like to do in these circumstances? Take control. To be honest, these are my words. You can shoot me down if you wish. Anything you hear, whether it be vaping related, motoring related, technology related, do your own research before you take anything into account. Media is basically, media is media. It is live, broadcasted teleplay. They are role-playing something they have written down in front of them, which they are contracted to and paid to tell you.
And the companies that they're working for are for-profit agencies that need to turn around and crank out stories on a minute-by-minute, day-by-day basis in order to be able to charge the public for whatever it is for whatever they produce.
The media is paid to tell you information which you are paying in the UK your TV license fee for. If you do not know anything that's going on out there regarding technology, whether it's for the vaping industry, technological research, the motoring industry, anything, if someone tries to sell you something, you'll believe it if you don't know anything about it.
Because they're the experts in it.
And then in the end, you'll be eating your own words. Because when you do this research, or for example in the world of vaping, if you do end up vaping yourself because nothing else works, you'll be thinking, this isn't as bad as what the media is making out to be. Who looks more foolish then? The person that has told fellow vapers these are worse than cigarettes, or the person that has actually started vaping because it's the more viable, safest way to quit?
Yep. Yeah. That's
my argument.
That's one of the big things. Well, all I can say is, for you guys over there on your side of the pond, I really hope that when the vote comes up, I forget when that is, that's supposed to be coming up later on this year.
I think it's June, the EU referendum.
Yes, that's what I was referring, the EU referendum. I sincerely hope and pray for you guys over there that you guys get yourselves out of the EU and stand again on your own as a self-determining sovereign nation, instead of putting yourself under the thumb of the rest of that cabal that goes over there in Belgium.
Yeah.
Because,
the thing is, the EU needs these countries more than we need the EU. If we was to leave the EU, we would have a more stronger hand in conducting relationships, trade relationships, because if UK, which used to before the EU took effect, was doing extremely well for itself, all the EU has done is completely crushed everything we know of. It has introduced the zero contract, zero working hours, which means you're working more hours for the minimum wage. The floodgates have opened for EU migrants. We have no control over who comes into this country anymore. We are told by the EU what we have to do. Oh, there's 750,000 migrants coming to your country. All right, fair enough. We can't do what about it. Because part of the EU, we are in line with the EU agreement that they have to come into this country. We can't turn around and say, wait a minute, that's enough.
But actually, in reality, I believe you can. Because I was looking through some of the EU agreements, the basic documents, the basic treaties a while back, just to get an idea of what was going on with the EU and what all this hubbub was about. And I came across a little thing in there. It's called the United Kingdom and Polish exception, whereby when the United Kingdom first came into the EU, they negotiated a codicil to the basic treaty that basically says, for all intents and purposes, that the UK government can deny putting into effect any EU laws, rules, or regulations that are directly in contradiction to your form of government. And when Poland came in, they negotiated basically the same kind of an agreement with the EU when they came in.
Irrespective of that, I shall give you two words. Hung Parliament. We have a Prime Minister, David Cameron, who acknowledges vaping, encourages vaping, who is the sole controller of this country's Prime Minister.
Well, he is the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister is under the control of the European Union. If he is to endorse vaping and accepts vaping and even gives his formal acknowledgement of what vaping is doing to the community, why the hell is he being told that the TPD must be enforced and all these regulations must be adhered to?
Money. Because the EU is giving the United Kingdom government, the government of Her Majesty's government, billions and billions of euros every year in subsidies in one form or another, that if they don't follow what Brussels says, stops.
But the UK, in effect, is giving the European Union £35 billion a day. We have had national cuts to the National Health Service. We've had national cuts to the defence system, to the emergency services. We've had benefit cuts. to the people that actually need it. £35 billion a day to the EU. Put it in context. £35 billion to the NHS would revolutionise and refurbish every hospital in this country. £35 billion a day to the defence system. The UK will be in a stronger position in the defence network. The UK held its own before, why can't it again? The amount of money we are giving overseas is pathetic. We are giving out more money than we can afford. Why do you think this government is trying to control the deficit by cutting money elsewhere to fund the debt the country owes to overseas countries? The UK cannot give that kind of money anymore. The UK leads the EU. The UK becomes a national icon once again. Its defence system grows. Its national health service is drastically improved. Schooling and education is vastly improved. Do you really want to live in a country that is governed and controlled by a country overseas, where you have no say in what you do? You are not voting to leave the EU because of Article 20, because of the TPD and its EU European laws, which are enforcing everything we do in this country. We leave the EU, we become united once again. This country will stand on its own 2 feet and stick 2 fingers up at the EU and say, you know what? Enough is enough. The UK is united again. The whole term United Kingdom. We are one. Together, as quoted on the £2 coin, standing on the shoulders of giants. We will be in a stronger position than we ever are now. The UK can enforce its own laws. We can enforce what fines and penalties and rules and regulations we see fit for every person that lives in this country. We are controlled by someone overseas telling our Prime Minister and our government what we should do. Do you want to sit back and be controlled by a country that has no interest in the well-being of its citizens? We are living in a country controlled by outsiders.
And sir, what I am going to say right now, please don't take offense to. You are now an American.
Well, I am, yes.
Because now you understand on a very visceral level the reason why 1776 occurred. That's all I have to say. Like I said, no offense to anyone over there. Now you understand the reason why the United States of America came into being.
And from that, no offense to you, I absolutely stand by that. We are fighting for what we believe in.
No offense taken, my brother. No offense taken.
We are fighting to become a country that is in control of what it enforces in the way of life. We don't want to be controlled by people that think we should be doing this when we know it's wrong. If it's wrong, we can't say no. We have to do it.
That's exactly what I was referring to.
Enough is enough.
Yep.
It's time we looked at the situation, we stood up, think, okay, it's posted all over social media, leave the EU, not purely because of the TPD, for the UK to be in control of what it does.
I agree. I totally agree, my friend. I totally agree. Because you guys over there are, for all intents and purposes, under the control of foreign governments and foreign powers that are dictating to you exactly what you should and should not do. And your country's, oh, excuse me, sorry about that. Your country's national wealth is being siphoned off to do things that it was not meant to be doing. It is being funneled and channeled into places where that wealth was not created.
Yeah.
You're being told what you can and cannot do, how you teach your children, how you're not to teach your children. You're being told what you can do with your health services and what you cannot do, so that to the point where if something were to have been discovered or to have been developed by your own scientists and your own doctors and surgeons, physicians, you couldn't do that without having it passed on by somebody overseas who might have a vested interest in that not occurring, and thereby would decide that it is not good and therefore you should not do it, and therefore hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of your fellow citizens would wind up either perishing or would have a diminished capacity due to the fact that they were not able to receive this new treatment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It goes down to everything, right down to the guy picking up the trash in the streets. It is continuous and all pervasive. And I'll tell you something, when I turned back when the UK first went into the EU, and I saw, my much younger self saw how they were pushing for the United Kingdom to become part of the Eurozone. I was appalled, because as anyone with half a brain who has studied anything about history knows, that in order to, if you want to control a people, you control their currency, the means of everyday commerce, of everyday living. And if you control that, then you control them. You don't need to take them over militarily and absorb them into your political system, because once you control how they do their everyday commerce, from going out and buying a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, or buying the daily newspaper, to going out and getting themselves a donut or a roll or whatever, even to getting on the bus and putting your fare into the till. When you control that, you control that government and you control that people.
The UK.
And I was so glad to see your people over there totally reject going on to the euro standard and maintaining your pound. I was so glad to see that.
That's exactly what I was about to mention, was the fact that the UK was imposed to introduce the euro as the main source of funding.
The currency.
Exactly. Why would we need the euro?
You've had the pound and pence from time immemorial, from the time William the Conqueror first came over and he introduced the first copper penny.
Exactly. That system has been tried.
And even before that, actually, I think the copper penny goes all the way back to Alfred the Great.
from the first instance of the UK's currency becoming mainstream, it has been something we've been known to relate to. Everybody knows it in the UK. To change back in the 70s, I believe, I might be wrong.
70s, 80s. I think it was in the 80s.
When everything went metric, the half pence disappeared and everything else, and we all became one system. In the space of 50 to 60 years, would you want to give up something you really understand to change to something which would just complicate matters? I mean, to introduce the euro would just be a wasted effort.
Well, I'm glad to see you guys went to a base 10 system anyway, because I was never able to figure out your currency in the first place. I sat there and I'm like, huh? What?
Easy.
So,
Easy.
No, it ain't.
Easy.
Take my word for it. But I'm glad you went over to a base 10 system.
The UK holds the pound because it is British.
Yes.
The US holds the dollar because it is American. It what defines the country's currency system. Why change something that works well?
Exactly.
To change to the euro would mean an entire restructure of the pricing industry, not only to the entire Bank of England. It will be pricing with bonds, shares, stocks, the entire
infrastructure, infrastructure of your country. And not only that, but it's also a very symbolic thing, because when you reach into your wallet and you pull out whatever currency it is that you're using on a daily basis, when you pull it out and it has the Queen's picture on it, okay, that says that you are English or British or UK or whatever you want to call yourselves, okay?
Exactly.
Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, up in Scotland, the banknotes are a little bit different than what they are down in England. I think, I'm not sure. This is from somebody who's never been over there, so I can only go by what I've heard.
If you go to Australia, that's where things start to get a bit tricky. The Australians have the US metric system, the dollars and the cents, but it also includes the Queen's head.
Same with NZ, I believe.
Yeah. Because the UK is a relatively small country, they think it's easier to control. But what they also forget in effect to that, the size of the country doesn't matter. It's what the people, the general public, the population of that country believe in. I would not want to walk down my high street in England and not see a fish and chip shop. I mean, granted, where I live, there is more Indian takeaways than fish shops.
Well, you know.
But in effect, it's what you are. Why change what you are because one country tells you to do it?
Yeah, it defines an individual country, the culture that has developed over centuries, from not only the physical surroundings that is there, but from the people themselves. It's an organic thing, and to take that away and so impose something from outside which is not organic makes you less. It's a psychological thing. It will make you less a person of that country and more of a united Europe. Which is something actually I think a lot of some powers have been trying to do since the beginning of World War II. Excuse me, since after World War II. They've been trying to develop a United States of Europe since the end of World War II.
Yeah.
And slowly they've been working toward it. And now, for all intents and purposes, with the European Parliament, they have it.
Yeah.
But not quite. Because England has not, and when I say England, I mean all of the United Kingdom of Scotland, Great Britain, and Northern Ireland. That's
Wales.
all the story. And Wales, of course. No offense intended to anybody out there from Wales who might be listening to this. I'm part Welsh myself, so okay.
Oh,
yeah, actually, that's a long story, but suffice to say, yeah, it is. It makes you an individual person. It makes you an individual nation. It's the glue that binds. That the currency in your wallet is the physical manifestation of a mindset, of a way of thinking.
Yeah.
Like here in the States, before the Civil War, banks were able to produce their own currency. The individual states produced their own currency, and the federal government produced the currency, mostly coins. Okay. And up to that point, if you asked a person here in America what country they were from, if they were to travel abroad, and you would ask that person, they would say, "I'm a New Yorker, or I'm a Jerseyan, or I'm a Virginian, I'm a South Carolinian."
Yeah.
Okay. After the Civil War here in the States, from that point on, it took about 50 or 60 years for it to happen, but it did happen. And it started with the Civil War. When you ask somebody from this side of the pond what country they were from, they would say, "I'm an American." And one of the things that happened with the Civil War, during the Civil War, was the federal government, under its constitutional powers, instituted laws that basically outlawed all banks, all states, from producing their own currency. And the currency that was in use became the federal currency. And that became the de facto currency. So when you opened up your wallet and you pulled out that bill and you looked at it, it said United States of America. It didn't say Bank of the State of New York, or the Bank of the State of New Jersey, or the Bank of the State of Virginia. It said the United States of America on it. Okay? And that is something that is a very powerful symbol to the everyday average person on the street, because they now know that they are part of something that is so much bigger than themselves, and but they are a part of that, and they are that. When you turn around, when you take away the pound and you institute the euro, okay, now you're saying to those people that you're not an Englishman or a Scotsman or a Welshman or a Northern Irelander or a Manx or Channel Islander. You're a European. You're a member of the greater European nation. And as such, you should act like a member of the greater European nation.
Exactly.
That's what it means.
To put it into a context for, well, I say anybody that's watching, I don't think anybody will be watching, but we'll give it a shot anyway.
You never know.
For those that are finding it a bit difficult to get into context of what, excuse me a second, Spotify is a bit too loud for the adverts. There we go. There we are. My apologies. Excuse me.
That's okay. At least yours was in the polite direction. Mine earlier was in the not so polite direction. So, you know.
I didn't expect it to come out quite as loud as I expected.
Well, I'm glad the mine it wasn't quite so loud. I don't think the mic picked it up, but thank you very much. Yeah. Meanwhile,
to put it into context for anybody that might be watching over in the US, over in any overseas state, for example, we would take you, Joe, in the United States. If in the context is, for example, Great Britain was to take control of your country. This is hypothetically speaking. Okay.
Understood.
The UK turns to your government. We are united. We are the majority. So, in respect, the UK is the European Union. And you as a whole are as you are. From now on, you will not be using the dollar, you'll be using the pound and pence. Your whole way of life will be conceived and conducted in a way appropriate that the UK sees fit. If we see your appropriate behaviour in context to be unfit, it will be dealt with accordingly. Your laws and regulations and institutions will be changed to UK standards. You will apply to our laws, our context, and you will comply with any rules and regulations that the UK will impose upon your country. What would you do in that situation?
I think that's already been said. Back in 1776, that's what we said to it.
You would,
okay.
But in a real life situation, if it was to happen tomorrow or next week,
there would be a second American Revolution, just as the same as you guys over there right now are experiencing. That's the reason why I said before.
You would sit back. You wouldn't sit back. You would stand up, and you would fight for what you know is right.
Exactly. That's my point. You guys now, okay? When my uncles, okay, were in World War II, and they were both stationed over there in England as part of the American Expeditionary Forces. I remember one of my uncles, I think it was my Uncle Charlie, once said to me that one day he was in the town in which he was stationed. He had gotten some leave and he was over there. And one of the denizens of that particular borough said to him, I think it was at a pub, probably at a pub, I don't remember exactly, said to him, and if you'll excuse me, I'm going to say this the way he said it, so please don't take offense. Hi, mate. Why did you turn around and did you guys go break your way from us? We were treating you so well. Like I said, it's a lousy imitation of your particular accent, but please forgive me, because I'm quoting the way he put it. And he tried to explain it to them, and they just couldn't get it. They just couldn't understand it. Now, with the EU doing to you guys what they're doing and dictating to you what you can and cannot do, now you understand on that very gut, visceral, nerve-ending way exactly the reason why the United States came into being. And what is happening to you now with the EU is the same thing that we felt over here in the States back in 1776. And the same thing would happen again here in 2016 if your scenario that you just gave were to happen. Because we, just like you, want to ensure for ourselves and our posterity that we have the right to self-determination and to govern ourselves in the way that we see fit. It may be totally screwed up. Nobody else in the world may be able to understand us. We may not turn around, we may not make sense to somebody in Australia or to New Zealand or to China or Japan or wherever.
Everybody is different.
Exactly. It makes sense to us. And we would not want to have anyone imposing what they felt and saw as being appropriate on us. And that's
the conversation we had via instant messenger, the incident I had today. I referred to the term twatted.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there scratching my head going, huh? What the freaking hell is he talking about?
In the American way, I will not try and do American accent because I'm useless.
Be my guest. I imitated you. Be my guest, my friend.
In all affairs, I got a damn good beating. I got the shit kicked out of me. I got one hell of a punch. That's what happened. I got a damn good twatting.
You got the shit beat out of you, in other words. Or damn close to it.
All because I turned around to the guy and said, "Are you for real?" He got out of his car. He walked up to me as I was pulling off, and he took a punch at me. Really ruined my features. My hair fell out. Again.
Okay.
And it wasn't raining either.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just can't help myself. Please forgive me. I just, that was good. That was good, man. You should turn around and should do stand-up. You really should.
In other words, I got the shit kicked out of me. I wasn't happy about it either. Neither was the missus. She turned around and she gave him a damn good talking to. She says, "You idiot! I'm all right, though. Don't mind me. I'm the one that took the beating. Don't mind the car or the boat that's just driven off. You idiot!" Yeah.
I'm surprised she didn't get the plate number for the damn thing.
She's a woman.
I'm not gonna go there.
I, on the other hand, has blurred vision, my specs thrown across the dashboard, trying to drive to the other side of the road, avoiding oncoming traffic, seeing triple. And it takes her, in that time, to type 2 9s. In the UK, it's 3 9s, 999 for the emergency services.
Right. 911 over here, right.
I had to do it myself. With a bruised cheek, blurred vision, 2 dislodged teeth, and a busted lip. So the phrase twatted means getting a damn good punch.
Well, we call it a sucker punch over here.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Well,
back when I was growing up, it was called something else. But nowadays it's not, that particular phraseology isn't quite politically correct. Okay, so nowadays they just call it a sucker punch over here.
In other words, it was a punch.
Yeah.
Which didn't bother me, in fact. I was more annoyed that he got out of his car and followed me while I was setting off and actually hit me while I was setting off. That I was more angry about that I didn't think, if I was on my own, would have grabbed him by the collar, wound up the window and trapped his throat between the window and then driven off with him inside it.
That would be good. Give a little road rash.
If a wife wasn't with me and I behaved appropriately, if she wasn't with me, things could have been slightly different. I mean, I am a pleasant person to be with. I'm sociable. I enjoy a laugh. I have life with most of the people. I enjoy things. But if somebody gets on the wrong side of me, it's a mistake. Because what he doesn't know is that I have a vast network of friends who now know what he drives, now know what he looks like. And it's a case of if someone texts me his registration number, it's a simple call to the police. Say, here's the crime number I got given because of the assault. A friend of mine has witnessed him and got his registration number. Job done. It's just a case of waiting, because in the UK, what he has done is a notch above what is classed as aggravated assault. For the case that he has left his vehicle, followed my car whilst moving, entered my vehicle, and then hit me.
That's what malice aforethought.
I mean, I'm more angry at the fact that his fist entered the car than anything else. I mean, if someone has a go at you, for me, it's a case of whatever. I sit there and think, whatever, shut up and get on with it. It wouldn't cross my mind to get out of my car and hit somebody. I mean, what actually happened is I pulled up to a junction and there was a white van coming down. So I stopped and waited for him to cross. Then in the rearview mirror, I see this black Peugeot flying up behind me, stopping no more than about 1.5 feet from my back bumper. So anyone who is sort of shocked and a bit, shook up, I got out my window and I says, "What the hell are you playing at? That's just too damn close." To which he replied a few F words, got out and hit me. Why? What is the point?
Too much testosterone.
If that would have been me, I'd have been, yeah, sorry, yeah, I did stop too close, yeah, it's my fault, yeah, I'm sorry. And I'd have been on my way. But no, yeah, to get out, follow my car, lean into my car, hit me across there, for which I do have 2 dislodged teeth, a bust sully, and a rather cracking bruise. But in the good old traditional British way, I laugh it off. Because I think, who's more sad, him or me?
What also leaves you as not being a combatant. It also leaves you purely, totally, and absolutely as being the victim of the assault.
Yeah, all right. I've been a victim of an assault, and the chances are I probably will not see him again. But
you never know. You never know.
The way I see it is, if you can't laugh about what's happened, then you're going to spend the rest of your life sad, depressed, and worrying about everything that's going to come walking down the street.
Exactly.
I'm laughing it off and think, what was all that about? Was there any need to come in and give me a whacking great big crack across my face? There's just no need for it. I mean, I've taken worse. I used to be an orange belt in self-defense. And given the right set of circumstances, I could have broken his arm without him even realizing. But I'm not that kind of person. I am a relaxed person that takes everything on the chin, no pun intended.
I'm glad you said that, because I was biting my lip. All I have to say about this, my friend, is that if you happen to be going through this area again, just keep your eyeballs peeled, because I got a funny feeling he's probably a regular and a local, and he probably does the same thing roughly around the same time every day.
I'm
So
not
he's
too bothered because it's the route I take to drop the wife off at work. It's not going to stop me from taking that route to work. I really don't care.
No. What I was saying was, is just keep your eyeballs peeled because you're probably going to see his car again.
Oh,
in which case you'll be able to get his plate numbers.
If I do happen to see his car, and it's the only car that fits that description in that area, it's too much to be a coincidence.
Exactly my point. So just keep your eyeballs peeled. You'll probably see him again.
If he gets caught, if the police catch him and he doesn't give himself up willingly, he is looking at being arrested for aggravated assault with intent to harm, a court appearance with some pretty serious fines. So, in my opinion, I'm hoping I find him because I'm a bit short of cash.
Too bad it wouldn't be fun fines and a time in the nick as well.
Depending on the severity of my injuries, which are minimal in my case. I mean, my teeth are exactly up to NHS standard. I mean, I could fall over and they get dislodged. Far from that, I mean, yeah, I've got a swollen lip, I've got a bruised face and an aching jaw and what have you, but it's life. It happens, unfortunately. Somebody just has a bit of an anger management problem, and I just happen to be the brunt of it. But it happens. But I'm not going to sit back and think, I can't go that way to drop you off, I'm going to have to go another way, or I'm constantly looking over my shoulder. If he wants to start a fight on his own, I'll hold my own. I mean, he's picked the wrong person to hit. Because I have a lot. I mean, not blowing my own trumpet and all like that, but I have a vast network of friends that will be able to help me out on my behalf. If they spot him, I will get told. And it's just a case of sitting back and just waiting.
Turn around.
I don't have to. All right, Joe, what you done? Okay. Joe has disappeared and left me on my own.
There we go. He's back.
Where did you go?
I don't know. You left.
Didn't you left?
I did.
Okay. So that's a bit dodgy.
I was just getting ready. I was just getting ready to end the broadcast because I still had the thing down here that said stop broadcasting.
Yeah, you can end it by all means because I really need to go again.
Okay. Well, it's been fun. Once again, Google has put a time limit on us, and well,
I didn't even know that Google actually had a time limit.
Yeah, actually, it's supposed to be 4 hours, but I don't think we've been on for 4 hours.
No, we haven't.
No, because I'm got 7:46 my time here.
By all means, if you wish to continue having a conversation beyond the live broadcast, feel free.
Okay. Give you a call in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm going to go and relieve myself. That is the toilet relieving myself, not.
Okay. Yeah, we got it. No wanking. Gotcha.
All right. Come on.
You know I couldn't help but go there, mate. Come on.
Do you know? Have you seen this arm?
Okay. Okay.
I don't need to work out. It's this arm I need to concentrate on.
Oh God. All right. Andy, take it easy, mate. I'll call you in a little bit. Or give me a call when you get back.
Yeah.
I'll have my hangouts up. I'll have my hang up. Yeah.
Mini fist punch.
And it's a fist pump. It's a fist pump.
The live broadcast signature end of transmission.
Ciao,
signifying I need a piss.
Have a good one. Give me a call when you're back.
Maybe about a couple of minutes.
Okay. Everybody out there who might be watching this or might see this, we don't time these things, so therefore we have no idea how long this thing is. And if you're still listening and you're still with us, have a great one. Thanks for coming. May the road rise to meet you. May the road
spend too much time waffling on.
Yeah, I know. I got a big mouth. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be ever at your back.
Wind is the operative word at the minute.
Have a good one, guys.